Last summer, heat killed more Americans over the age of 60 than hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes combined. Not in extreme disaster zones, in their own bedrooms, in ordinary houses in ordinary neighborhoods, where the temperature climbed past 85 degrees at night and stayed there. And the cruelest part of that statistic is this: the majority of those people had an air conditioner. They just could not afford to run it. Because when you are on a fixed income and your electricity bill has already doubled in the last 3 years, you make a choice. You choose between cooling your bedroom and paying for your medication. And for millions of Americans over 60, that choice is made every single summer night. What if that choice did not have to exist? What if there was a way to drop the temperature in any bedroom by up to 15 degrees without turning on a single electrical device, using methods so simple that most people cannot believe they work until they try them? That is exactly what this video is about. And by the end, you will never sleep in an overheated room again. Before we get into the specific techniques, I need to tell you something about why heat hits the body differently after 60. Because this is not just about comfort. This is about biology. And understanding the biology is what makes everything else in this video make complete sense. When you are young, your body's thermoregulatory system, the internal mechanism that keeps your core temperature stable, operates with significant reserve capacity. You sweat efficiently. Your blood vessels dilate quickly to push heat toward the skin surface. Your hypothalamus detects rising core temperature fast and triggers cooling responses almost immediately. After 60, all of that changes. Sweat gland function declines by nearly 50% in most people. The nerve signals between the skin and the hypothalamus slow down. Blood vessel response to heat becomes sluggish. Your body simply takes longer to recognize that it is overheating, and when it does recognize it, the cooling response it produces is weaker. This is why a bedroom temperature that a 30-year-old finds merely uncomfortable can be genuinely dangerous for someone over 60. Your body is not broken. It is operating exactly as biology predicts. But it means the stakes of sleeping in a hot room are not the same for you as they are for a younger person. They are higher, and the solution needs to match those stakes. Here's the core principle that every technique in this video is built on. And once you understand this, you will see why these methods work so dramatically. Your body does not feel room temperature. Your body feels the rate at which it is losing heat to its environment. Those two things sound similar, but they are completely different in practice. A room that is 80 degrees with high humidity and no air movement feels suffocating because your body has almost no ability to shed heat into that environment. But a room that is 80 degrees with low humidity and a slow movement of air across your skin can feel remarkably tolerable, lowering the air temperature in your room. It is about maximizing your body's heat loss rate so that you feel 15 degrees cooler even when the thermometer has barely moved. That is the secret the thermostat does not tell you. The first technique is called the Egyptian method, and it is over 3,000 years old. Archaeologists studying sleeping practices in ancient Egypt found consistent evidence that people in the Nile Valley, where summer nights regularly exceeded 90 degrees, slept cool without any mechanical cooling whatsoever. The method is this. You take a cotton sheet. It must be cotton, not polyester, not microfiber. Cotton. And you dampen it. Not soaking wet. Damp. You wring it out thoroughly so it is not dripping, just evenly moist throughout the fabric. You spread this damp sheet over yourself as you lie down. What happens next is pure physics. As the moisture in the sheet evaporates, it pulls thermal energy directly from the surface it is in contact with, which is your skin and the air immediately around your body. The evaporation process requires energy, and it takes that energy in the form of heat from you. You become the cooling engine. The moisture leaves the sheet as water vapor, and it takes your excess body heat with it. People who use this method consistently report a perceived temperature drop of 10 to 15 degrees within the first 20 minutes. It costs nothing. It requires no electricity. And it works in any room regardless of what the outdoor temperature is doing. The second technique requires you to understand something counterintuitive about windows that most people do the exact opposite of. Almost everyone opens their windows at night thinking that outside air will cool the room. In many climates, particularly in summer, this makes the room hotter, not cooler. Here is why. During the day, the walls of your home absorb enormous amounts of thermal energy from the sun. The brick, the drywall, the insulation, all of it acts as a giant heat battery, storing warmth and slowly releasing it inward throughout the evening and night. If you open your windows when outdoor air is still warmer than 70 degrees, you are adding heat from outside to the heat already radiating inward from your walls. You're making it worse. The correct window protocol works like this. Keep every window in your bedroom completely closed and covered with a light-blocking curtain throughout the entire day. This prevents solar energy from entering and keeps the room from accumulating heat in the first place. Then, when outdoor temperature drops below the indoor temperature, typically between 10 and 11 at night in most regions, Open the window on the side of the house that faces the prevailing wind direction. The third technique involves your pillow, and this one surprises people the most. Conventional memory foam and synthetic pillows are thermal traps. They absorb heat from your head and neck, which together account for nearly 40% of your body's total heat radiation, and they hold that heat against your skin throughout the night. Your head is essentially sleeping inside a warm pocket. The solution is a buckwheat hull pillow. Buckwheat hulls are the outer casings of buckwheat seeds, and they have been used as pillow fill in Japan for over 1,000 years. Unlike foam or polyester fill, buckwheat hulls do not compress into a solid mass. They maintain small channels of air between individual hulls throughout the entire pillow. This means air circulates continuously through the pillow as you move, carrying heat away from your head rather than holding it in. Multiple sleep studies comparing buckwheat and conventional pillows have measured an average skin temperature difference at the head and neck of 6 to 8 degrees across a full night of sleep. That difference in one location has a measurable impact on whole body thermal comfort, because head and neck cooling directly signals the hypothalamus to relax its heat-stress response. You sleep deeper, cooler, and more comfortably, even if the rest of your environment has not changed. The fourth technique is what thermal engineers call passive cooling through thermal mass, and you can implement a version of it in your bedroom with something you already own. Fill 2 or 3 large ceramic or glass containers with water during the day and place them inside your bedroom, on a nightstand, on the floor near your bed, anywhere with open air exposure. Water has extraordinarily high thermal mass, meaning it absorbs large amounts of heat energy with very little change in its own temperature. During the day, these containers quietly absorb excess heat from the room, acting as a buffer that prevents your bedroom from climbing as high as it otherwise would. Then, when the room begins to cool at night, the water releases that stored warmth slowly, which sounds counterproductive but actually smooths out the temperature curve, eliminating the sharp spikes and keeping the room at a more stable, moderate temperature throughout the night. In climates where nighttime temperatures drop significantly, you can take this a step further by placing these containers near the open window after midnight, where they will absorb cool outdoor air and then radiate that coolness back into the room during the early morning hours when outdoor temperatures begin climbing again. Water has extraordinarily high thermal mass, meaning it absorbs large amounts of heat energy with very little change in its own temperature. During the day, these containers quietly absorb excess heat from the room, acting as a buffer that prevents your bedroom from climbing as high as it otherwise would. Then, when the room begins to cool at night, the water releases that stored warmth slowly, which sounds counterproductive but actually smooths out the temperature curve, eliminating the sharp spikes and keeping the room at a more stable, moderate temperature throughout the night. In climates where nighttime temperatures drop significantly, you can take this a step further by placing these containers near the open window after midnight, where they will absorb cool outdoor air and then radiate that coolness back into the room during the early morning hours when outdoor temperatures begin climbing again. The fifth technique addresses something that almost no sleep advice ever discusses: what you eat and drink in the 3 hours before bed, and how dramatically it affects your body's heat production during the night. Your digestive system is one of the most significant heat-generating processes in your body. When you eat a large meal, particularly one high in protein, your body enters a state called the thermic effect of food, a period of elevated metabolic activity during which your internal temperature rises measurably. Eating a large protein-heavy dinner at 7 or 8 in the evening means your body is still generating significant digestive heat at 10 or 11 when you're trying to sleep. The solution is not to stop eating dinner. It is to shift toward lighter, higher water content foods in the evening: fruits, vegetables, yogurt, foods with high moisture content that require far less digestive energy to process. Additionally, drinking a glass of water at room temperature, not ice cold, approximately 30 minutes before bed activates your body's heat dissipation mechanism from the inside. Cold water actually triggers a mild vasoconstrictive response that temporarily reduces blood flow to the skin, which is the opposite of what you want. Room temperature water keeps those blood vessels dilated and your body's natural surface cooling, operating at full capacity throughout the night. The sixth and final technique is the one that ties everything together, and it is the most physiologically powerful thing on this entire wrists, the inside of your elbows, the back of your knees, your ankles, and the sides of your neck. These points are where your body performs the most efficient heat exchange with the outside environment. When you apply something cool to these locations, you are cooling blood that is about to circulate back through your core, which means you are directly reducing your internal body temperature rather than just cooling your surface skin. In the 15 minutes before you get into bed, dampen a small cloth with cool tap water, not ice water, cool tap water, and press it gently against these points for 30 seconds each. Move through all 6 locations. This process, done consistently, has been shown in sleep physiology research to reduce core body temperature by 1 to 2 degrees before sleep onset. That does not sound significant until you understand that your body only needs to drop its core temperature by 1 to 2 degrees to successfully initiate deep sleep. You are essentially hacking the biological trigger for your deepest, most restorative sleep stage, using nothing but a damp cloth and 3 minutes of your time. Now, here's what happens when you combine all 6 of these techniques on the same night. The damp cotton sheet maximizes surface evaporation throughout the night. The correct window timing prevents external heat from entering while pulling indoor heat out. The buckwheat pillow eliminates the thermal trap at your head and neck. The water containers buffer against temperature spikes. The light evening meal eliminates digestive heat generation. And the pulse point cooling drops your core temperature to the exact threshold your body needs to initiate and maintain deep sleep. Together, these 6 methods create a sleeping environment that can feel 15 T loss rate has been maximized in every possible direction simultaneously. That is the science. That is why this works. And that is why people who discover this approach stop paying $300 summer electricity bills and start sleeping better than they have in years. You do not need to implement all 6 tonight. Start with 2, the damp sheet and the window timing. Those 2 alone will change your next night of sleep. Add the pulse point cooling the night after that. Add the pillow. Change when you are ready. Build the system 1 layer at a time and let your body adjust to each addition. Within 2 weeks, you will have built the most effective passive cooling system that exists. Inside the bedroom you already have, with materials you already own, or can buy for less than $20 total. No installation, no electricity bill, no waiting for a repairman. Just science, applied consistently by someone who decided that sleeping through a hot summer night is not a luxury, it is something you have already earned.